be on TV.
No, don't worry about it. Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to our Tanya series. We have concluded last week Tanya chapter 18, and we will begin today chapter 19. Chapter 19, he continues the theme of chapter 18. Chapter 18, he began in the beginning, if you remember. He asked the question. He said, he laid out a fact that every Jew has a hidden love for Hashem. In other words, he doesn't have to really create a love of Hashem through intellect and through contemplation and meditation on godliness, but he has, by virtue of his neshama, a hidden love for Hashem. And the Alter Rebbe asked 4 questions. Where does this come? What's the root of this love? Where did we get it from? What is its theme, or what is its content? What is it? What is I don't know what I'm word at. The theme of this love. In other words, let me explain what he's asking. The third question. Every love has you seek something as a result of this love. For example, you love, let's say you like wisdom, and therefore if there's a great scholar that's teaching you deep wisdom, you love him. You're attracted to him. You want to be near. You want him more and more and more. Why do you love him? Because you get so much wisdom from him. So every love has its goal. What's the goal of the love for this individual? Because of the things that you get as a result of him. In other words, you like music, so you're gonna love Mozart. You love wisdom, you're gonna love deep thinkers. You know what I'm saying? So the love of the person. What's the goal of this love? The goal is the wisdom that he gives you, in the case of wisdom, right? So you love this person because he enhances your ability to understand and to think and to acquire knowledge and so on. Same thing with you love another person. What's the goal of that love? Whatever it is that you're seeking from that, whatever the thing that person enhances in you. You get what I'm saying? The question, Alter Rebbe, is what is what is the theme of this love? What is the goal of this love? This hidden love. And that third question, Alter Rebbe is going to answer in the beginning of chapter 19. We know that we love Hashem. It's a hidden love that we each have. We have to reveal it. And I explained already when we learned chapter 18 that revealing a love that you already have is very different than creating a love that you don't have yet. Right? Remember all this discussion. The question is, what is the nature of this love? What is the goal of this love? What is it that the Jew seeks with this love? So the Alter Rebbe is going to introduce something over here that is truly unique. He's going to say that this love has no parallel in any other lover in the world. How so? So he explains. To elucidate, we're on page 77, chapter 19 of Tanya. To elucidate still further, it is necessary to clarify the meaning of the verse, the candle of God is the soul of the neshama, is the soul of man. And over here, when he says man, he's referring to the Jewish people. We said before in chapter 18 that even the most ignoramus Jew is ready to give up his life for not to deny the oneness of Hashem. You simply can't deny the existence of Hashem. He's going to explain this over here a little more. So he says like this. To elucidate still further, it is necessary to clarify the meaning of the verse. The candle of God is the soul of man. Now, the neshama of man, every neshama of a Jew, is compared to God's candle. What's the metaphor of a candle? What it means is that the souls of Jews who are called man are by way of illustration like the flame of the candle. What's the nature of the flame of a candle? Whose nature it is always to scintillate upward. You ever watched a flame burn? It's always moving upwards. No matter what, you turn it upside down, it'll continue, it'll always try to go upwards. And this is because for the flame of the fire, intrinsically, this is its nature, seeks to be parted from the wick. It wants to leave the wick in order to unite with its source above. The source of fire above, which is the spiritual source of fire, which is under the moon, whatever, I'm not going to get into now the physics of this. Every fire, every candle, every fire of a candle wants to leave the wick and be submerged in that source. Now, that sounds like a wonderful, beautiful idea, right? The problem is, there's something unique about this. In the universal element of fire, which is in the sublunar sphere. Okay. As it is explained in Eitz Chaim, I stopped in mid-sentence. Let me read that again. By way of illustration, the soul is like the flame of the candle, whose nature it is to always scintillate upwards. For the flame of the fire intrinsically seeks to be parted from the wick in order to unite with its source above in the universal element of fire, which is in the sublunar sphere. As is explained in Eitz Chaim, the Rambam talks about the four elements of the physical world: fire, water, air, and matter. And highest fire being the highest, and so on and so on. So basically, and it's in the sublunar sphere. Now, every candle, every flame, it looks to leave its confines in the physical world and to go upwards and be included and united with its source. That's the nature of fire. And although it would thereby, now here's the thing, even though it would thereby be extinguished and emit no light at all below, not only will it no longer be a fire below here, and even above. You may say, okay, so it's losing its existence down here, but it's giving up this existence for a higher existence, to being one with its source, right? It's a higher existence. He says, no. Even in its source, even above in its source, its light would be nullified. It won't exist there. It loses its existence entirely. Over there, there's only the source of fire. There's no fire there. So it's when it leaves the wick and it submerges in there, it loses its existence. Not only down there, but even up there, it stops existing. It's over. Extinction. Nevertheless, this is what it seeks in accordance with its nature. That's the nature of fire. It seems to be irrational. It goes against the grain because every other existence in this world wants to exist, does everything to exist. That's the nature of every other existence in this world, except for fire. Fire has a nature that it constantly seeks to stop existing.
It's so weird.
It is.
It's a great metaphor.
It's the only existence in this physical world that has that characteristic. And it's a nature. It's the nature of it. And it goes against the grain, like I said. Forget about humans, even animals for sure. Animals also they want to exist.
Nice.
Good evening.
You mean the characteristic is that doesn't want exist.
It wants to just leave the wick and reunite with its source, and over there it loses its independent existence. There's nothing there. It doesn't exist as a fire.
Knowing that it's not.
So that's the neshama.
No, that's the fire. I'm talking first the metaphor of the fire. We'll see soon how it applies to the neshama too.
No.
Any question? What?
I don't know what we're talking about. Sorry, I'm
He's giving a metaphor of a candle. He's saying the candle is the neshama.
the candle. So okay, so the
Yeah, but I'm telling you how it is in the physical world first, in the metaphor of the candle. That's how it is. In like manner does the neshama of man, the neshama of every Jew, including the quality of ruach and nefesh. The neshama has many levels. At all parts of the neshama, naturally desire and yearn to separate itself and depart from the body. The neshama is constantly seeking to leave the body and unite and go up, soar on high, even though, in order to unite with its origin and source in God, the fountainhead of all life, blessed be He, though thereby it would become null and void, completely losing its entity therein, with nothing remaining of its former essence and being. Nevertheless, this is its will and desire by its nature.
Can you do that paragraph again? Sorry.
It means
79.
the neshama also has the same exact characteristic that it wants to constantly leave its wick, which is the body.
How do we know that?
And that's the metaphor. That's what the Alter Rebbe is explaining.
How
That's
do we know
that.
the neshama wants to go?
That he's explaining the metaphor of the candle.
I understand that. Well, how do you know that?
How do you know anything? How do you know you have a neshama?
It's written.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's written.
So since you answer that question yourself, you got another question.
Let me have the keys. Where are the keys?
I want to
Get
tell them.
more.
Check your pockets, jacket. You see that?
You answer that yourself.
I have my keys, right?
Why do
Well,
I
you
have
got three more.
Yes.
Oh, like I don't have them. You have the keys? You have the keys?
I need the keys to turn on the air. Just go over there if you can. Turn it on and push hold. Turn it down to 73. Sorry there for those watching.
Here, 73.
So but you said the candle is the neshama.
Yeah.
But it says here that the flame is the neshama.
That's what I mean, the flame. What's a candle? A flame and a wick. That's
So
what a candle is.
The neshama looks to go
The
up.
wick is the body, and the flame is the neshama.
That wasn't
so
a question, by the way. It was clarification.
Yeah. So the point is that the neshama, that's the nature of the neshama. It looks to lose its existence, to give up its existence and reunite in its source, even though that means you are no longer in existence.
It's a metaphor.
No, it's not a metaphor. That's the truth with the neshama. The metaphor of the candle.
Yeah.
The
Metaphor
light
is
of
a light, the flame of the candle.
flame of the candle, right? Now, the Alter Rebbe says of it an interesting thing. He says what he continues to use the word. This is its nature. This is its nature of the candle of the neshama. So he said, what does the word nature mean? Nature is an applied term for anything that is not in the realm of reason and comprehension. When there's something you can't explain, say that's the nature of it. You can't explain it logically, you say that's the nature. So in other words, the word nature, as he's defining it, is anything that is beyond the realm of reason and comprehension. In our case too, the inference is that this will and desire of the soul are not within the realm of reason. It makes no sense for the soul to want this. Now, it is not within the realm of reason, knowledge, and intelligence that can be grasped and understood, but beyond graspable and comprehensible knowledge and intelligence. For this nature stems from the faculty of Chokhmah found in the soul, wherein abides the light of the blessed Ein Sof. Let me explain to you what the Alter Rebbe just said. Those of you who have been to enough classes of Tanya know that the neshama is made up of 10 spheres, of 10 soul powers that are a reflection of the 10 spheres, heavenly attributes, beginning with Chachma, then Bina, then Das, right? The 3 intellectual faculties, the 7 emotional ones, etc. We spoke about this numerous times. What is the highest of the 10? Is Chachma. What is the second of the 10? Bina. What did we explain as Bina? Bina means understanding. Very good. Bina means understanding. In other words, where does rational understanding start within the soul? In the second of the 10 powers. Chachma is beyond understanding. Chachma is super rational. What we explained in the chapter prior to this one, what is Chachma of the Nefesh? Huh?
Wisdom.
What does wisdom mean? What is what is the uniqueness of this level of the neshama called Chachma?
Is that you're a bit
It's in Chachma. Well, we'll go all the way up in Chachma of Atzilus, the highest level of Chachma, Chachma of the highest of the world. That is where God's essence and infinite essence is present.
Because we're not.
And because of that, through the Chachma of the Atzilus, it's that way in Chachma of Bria, the next world, and the third world, and the fourth, all the way down to the Chachma of our Nefesh. In other words, in the Chachma of your Nefesh is present the essence, the infinite radiance of God Himself. And Alter Rebbe explained in the other chapter, in chapter 18, that this is the reason why the Jew is incapable of denying God. Because God shines in this Chachma of His Nefesh. He can't deny it. It's there. Then in the Neshama is God. So where does he get the power of self-sacrifice? From Chachma Shebenefesh. Why can't we get it from Bina Shebenefesh? In the understanding level of the soul?
Because you exist there.
Hold on. Because the definition of Seichel, will Seichel ever tell you to stop existing? Is that a rational thing for your Seichel to tell you to do? No. Every person, every individual, the first thing you want is existence. So your Seichel will tell you how to exist even better, more refined. Your spiritualist will tell you how to exist on the most spiritual level. If you're a crass individual, it'll tell you how to exist on the crass level. Your seichel is always going to the first, but seichel will never tell the neshama or anyone or the body or any part of it, stop, give up your whole existence. We don't exist anymore. Extinction. That seichel will never tell you. It's impossible for your brain, your intellect to tell you to go against your own very existence. It's the very opposite of what a rational thing. It's the very opposite of the rational part of your existence. It wants to exist. An existence rationally wants to exist. It makes sense that it should exist. To tell you no, don't exist, that's not a seichel thing. That's not a rational thing. It's not an intellectual experience. So where do you get this thing, this force within you that tells you, I don't want to exist, I just want to expire? With no strings attached, no reward, no nothing, not to become famous, nothing. Where does that come from? That comes from the level within your neshama that's beyond rationale. What level is that? That's the level of Chachma. Why is that the level? And what's in the level of Chachma? God Himself. That's where God's infinite essence is present. Why? Because the Chachma of the Nefesh is that part of you that allows for you not to exist, and therefore God can be present. God can't be present in an egotistical reality. Any form of ego, even a refined ego. If you exist, in other words, it's either you or him. In other words, the minute you assert your existence, the infinite light of Hashem is not there anymore. Where could Hashem rest His infinite presence? In the level of your neshama that's totally bottled to Him. You remember the word bittul? So the Yid gets this power from his Chachma of his Nefesh. Is it a rational thing? Absolutely not. What is it? It's its nature. It's the nature of the soul. That's it. The nature of fire is to go up. Does it explain it? So does it? Can you explain this rationally? No. It stops existing. Why you want it going up? What? You're not going to get anything out of it. On the contrary, you're going to lose everything. That's what I want. You have such a thing?
So the candle of neshama wants to rise, and it wants to rise even though it'll be annihilated when if it merges with the Ein Sof.
Right. It'll be annihilated
Annihilated
completely.
is actually in this case is not.
It'll extinguish. It will no
It'll be extinct,
longer.
it'll be
It'll be
nullified.
exactly.
It's essentially you're gone in a puff of smoke.
You're not there. You
Right.
stop existing.
Right. So,
But that's what it wants.
but since that's what it wants, how does the seeker, the
Get
Jew
that.
who seeks unity with the Ein Sof, how
He
does
gets it in one way.
How does it stop? How do you stop your seichel or your rational mind from pulling you back at the last moment in a desire for self-preservation, as opposed to where you want to be, which is essentially in unity?
The soul. You're asking what? Why? What's stopping the soul from expiring?
In other words, if the natural tendency is to rise, the neshama to rise and to cleave under the Ein Sof. But to do that, your ego, your rational mind will be lost.
The rational mind will be your entire existence will be lost.
Okay.
The whole entire existence of the neshama.
Even more so. What spiritual development is it possible?
And why will it be lost?
Will the fire be lost?
The fire, yeah.
Why not here?
So
What's a neshama? Think about it. What is a neshama down here?
it's
got a personality. It's got 10
Yeah.
faculties. It's a whole
so when
existence.
I'm dead, it's not going to exist.
No, it doesn't expire. It doesn't lose its existence.
That's what I'm saying, right?
No, but that's not what we're talking about.
No.
First of all, in the point is, if the in Mesiras Nefesh, in self-sacrifice, what is the Jew seeking when he gives up his life for God? When he's threatened, he's pushed to the wall, and he's given a choice. You either convert or you get killed. And he allows himself to get killed. Because he can't not. As we said, Chachma Shenevish doesn't let him give up on God.
I'm trying to.
Hold on,
This is
hold
a
on.
positive.
Let me hear this.
What happens? You think the neshama is then thinking, the human being is thinking then about ulterior motives? I'll go down in history, I'll get rewarded. And if it does, then it's not real Mesiras Nefesh. If he does think that, some people could be, they think that. But it's unlikely. But even if they do, then it's not Mesiras Nefesh. Think about it. What does Mesiras Nefesh mean? I'm giving myself up. If you're giving yourself up for a better life, a better existence, that's not called giving yourself up. That means you're looking for a higher existence. It's hardly self-sacrifice. It's self-enhancement to a higher level. What holds back the neshama from expiring? The wick. What's the wick? The body. Your life down here.
But the candle wants to burn. It wants the fuel. It wants the wick. It needs the wick to survive.
It doesn't want the wick. It
So
wishes the wick would leave it
So,
alone and let it
another
go.
quick- so when we
Hold on. He wishes the wick would let him go, but the wick doesn't let him go.
That's
Yeah.
So when you talk about a different type, when you say you're in the radiance of Hashem, when you're in the after you're gone, you're dead. There's a difference between being close. You can only really be one with Hashem here on earth. Put that to fill in. You're one with Hashem.
That's a different thing you're talking about.
So
But because down here,
what is it in
down here it exists.
Okay.
The neshama exists
Then
down
what
here.
is it that I get the radiance of in Shemayim.
That's a rational thing.
It's not my
It's a rational
it's not my
thing.
neshama that's getting there.
Yeah, but it's it's still.
But it's my
exists.
neshama.
Yeah.
So it exists. So that's my point. It
Yeah.
still exists in Shemayim when my wick is not here. Whereas the flame,
Yeah.
it does not exist.
No, I think the point is that when you expire in Mesiras Nefesh, you seek nothing but oneness with Hashem, period.
That's it.
You're not looking for existence. You want no existence at all. You want the highest level, the Ein Sof. And when you get there, you stop existing. In heaven, when you're always being held down. The neshama is being held down, whether it's through the body or through Gan Eden, whatever it is, I think. But real unity, what it really wants is expiration. It doesn't want to be in Gan Eden and get glimmers of God. It wants the essence. When it gets the essence, it no longer is. There's nothing that gets it anymore. It's over. Its existence comes to a halting screech. And you wonder, why does it want it? Don't you want to exist and enjoy God? No, it doesn't. He doesn't know. It does. It's the nature of it. He does. That's the nature of it.
But that's not what happens to it.
It doesn't, because we're held down. Yeah. But that's
heaven.
what it wants.
Even in heaven.
I guess. Yeah. I would like to look at that a little further if the Alter Rebbe includes over here heaven also in this metaphor. But I'll have to look at that and get back.
It's a valid question, right?
It's a valid question. So let me say a few more things on this. When a tzaddik davens on a Shabbos morning, afternoon, is totally involved in thinking about godliness and is loving God because he understands how great it is, what does he seek? What's the goal of that love? What's the goal of that love? Not the hidden love that he's talking about here. That love that you created through
Connection.
rationale. You're looking for a connection to God. It's looking to stop existing? No. It's looking to have an even better, higher spiritual existence.
Sure.
That's not what he's talking about over here. Over here, the neshama is looking to stop existing. It wants nothing. It doesn't want an existence. It wants to be included, one with its source. The tzaddik is not looking for that when he's davening. He's not. He's looking for he's experiencing a very spiritual moment, and he wants to experience that on the highest level. But he wants to experience it. He's looking out for his spiritual fulfillment.
Okay, so the side,
which is not bad. I wish I was looking for that all day long.
A higher connection is nothing more than a subway stop on the way to Ein Sof at that point.
The point is that what the tzaddik is looking for is not what the candle is looking for. It's looking for an enhanced experience, a deeper connection with God. It's looking for its neshama to experience and enjoy a deeper connection with God. That's very different than what we're describing now. That's Bina.
But isn't this
That's Bina.
But isn't this the ultimate goal of the tzaddik?
No, that's the ultimate goal of the neshama. Obviously, the neshama of the tzaddik also has this nature, of course. Right. But what I'm trying to say is that when the neshama, when the tzaddik is having this feeling of love for Hashem because he understands a deep understanding of the greatness of God, and he's really into it. And what is he seeking at that moment? He's seeking that his neshama should have a great relationship with Hashem. It should see more of God. It should have a more deeper understanding of God. It should have. It should have. It is an it.
But isn't the deepest understanding of God ultimately the merging of one's neshama?
No, you stop existing. You have no understanding. You have no nothing. You are over. You don't exist as an independent entity.
I know this sounds very nihilistic, but it's not what I mean. What I'm saying is that isn't that the end goal? Even if we're annihilated in the process, I mean,
What I'm trying to say is
Not for
that
me.
the tzaddik, when he's davening and he's excited and he's loving everything about that experience, is not in the place that we're describing now. That's a bina love, and a bina love is defined by you want something more. Chachma love is a different thing.
And that's all this is.
Chachma shebenefesh is a different thing. There's nothing. It's not about me. I'm just looking to expire. I just want to be in my source, nothing else. That's it. I don't want a deeper love. I don't want a deeper understanding. I don't want a greater joy. I want nothing. I don't want attachment. I'm not looking for anything. I'm looking to expire in my source, period. That happens. You know when that happens? When is the moment that happens? Mesiras nefesh. Real Mesiras nefesh. Mesiras nefesh means self-sacrifice. I want to just add another element to this candle metaphor. There's another thing about a candle that's very interesting. If you take a look, a candle is always moving up. It's moving, it's back, forth. It's always, it's never still. It's never content, so to say. Always wants more. Not more, but it's always on a movement. Swaying, it's moving up, it's moving. That's also a Jew. Jews are never content. It's not a joke, by the way. Throughout history, even Jews that were not even aware that they had a neshama. A Jew that's aware that he has a neshama is for sure looking for a connection to God. He's always looking for more and more and more and more. But even people that are not Jewish, that are not involved in the neshama world,
Spirit.
they're not involved in that. The neshama is also causing them to be restless. Who are the ones that organized every revolution in the history of the world?
Jews.
Jews have organized so many of these revolutions. Throughout history, take a look.
French too. French Revolution.
I don't know exactly the French, but a lot of these revolutions, I say revolution, I don't mean novelties. I
Political and
mean,
social revolution.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Restless revolutions. Jews are at the forefront of these. They're not restless. They are restless.
And what's that?
Because the neshama is causing this. They have a neshama. They don't know about it even. They may not even be aware of it. But there's something about them that can't stand still, can't sit still. They're not content. This world doesn't do it for them. They need something else. If things are tranquil, where can we Where can we make a revolution? What can we do? What can we change? And they're always at the forefront.
Is that
The last 100 years, take a look for sure, the last 150 years.
Does that explain why we have so many Nobel Prizes?
I don't know if that's a Nobel Prize thing, because that's not a revolution type of
Well,
thing.
thinking, changing.
But it could be. Yeah, I think you probably have a point there too. They're always a step above. There's something about them. They're always seeking more. They're never content. It's the candle within them.
You know what
That's
per-
always flickering. They're never still.
You know what percentage of Nobel Prizes are
It's high. I don't know the exact one.
22%.
about 25%?
Right.
In economics, 33%.
A Yid is never content. You know when he's content? When he stops to exist. When he's one with Hashem, and that's it. Till then, he's always going to be like a flickering candle.
It's the same as Ashkenazi and Sephardi.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with that.
And what's that true about
More
why,
than us, of course.
Of course.
But if you have a full head of hair,
Go ahead.
why
You wish.
Jews were on the extreme bleeding edge of positive revolutions
And negative.
and extreme bleeding edge of negative social developments.
It's because they have a neshama. And if
this-
you're
this
not
is
in
the
touch
one
with
I
your
wanted to
neshama is going to drive you crazy, and you're going to use it in bad ways.
Yeah.
That fire within you is going to burn, whether you know it or not. It may burn and warm people up. It may burn and destroy people if you don't know how to use it right.
In many ways, right?
In many ways. Yeah. Who are the Bolsheviks?
Yeah.
Who ran the Bolshevik movement? A bunch of Jews. children of rabbis and chassidim, unfortunately. And the same with others. Now, so now you understand what the Alter Rebbe is saying over here. He asked a third question. What is the goal of this love? And he said, this goal of this love is different than any other goal of any other love. Every other love, the goal is to get something enhanced, enhance yourself. A person, an item, something. This is one love whose goal is to get you to cease to exist. It doesn't want, it looks to cease to exist, to become one with its source at the cost of its own independent existence. And that comes from the Chochmah of the Nefesh. The Chochmah of the Nefesh is the nature of the Nefesh. Below that is rational already. Bina and down is all rationale. Chochmah is already nature. That's the nature of the neshama. It's one with Hashem. That's what God shines as light in your Chochmah, because that's the level of bittul within the Nefesh, and therefore it could be a vessel for the infinite light of Hashem. And from that standpoint, the nature of the neshama will be to just flicker away out of existence, go back to its source at the cost of its own independent existence.
That's a natural thing.
It's a natural thing for the neshama, yeah. And he defines the word nature as something that's super rational, or not rational. And so we always say, can you explain it? No, that's its nature. You know, that the word nature means that which is not explainable. Want to go a little further? Let's go a little further. Now,
What is that? Ahmad being a dad.
that is knowledge. That's something else that's not related to here. Now, I want to take a minute or two to talk about the idea of Mesiras Nefesh over here. We spoke about this already in chapter 18, but I'll just mention it again, try to be as brief as possible. And that is the idea of Mesiras Nefesh. What is real Mesiras Nefesh? You know what the term Mesiras Nefesh means? Self-sacrifice. Sacrifice of self. So if a soldier goes to war and gives up his life in the war, ready to die for his country, is that Mesiras Nefesh? Why not?
Yeah, giving your life for God.
No, I'm saying, so what? That's not called sacrifice?
Yeah,
that's not called...
Not godly.
I didn't say godly. I asked if is he giving up his existence for his country?
It's an ideal.
And what's wrong? So I'm asking, he's giving up his existence for his ideal? What's the problem? Is that not called giving up your existence? He's ready to die for this ideal.
Yeah.
Why is that not called Mesiras Nefesh?
Because he's doing it for himself.
How is he doing it for himself?
He makes him feel not doing it for God.
You don't do it for God.
Okay, one second. Mesiras Nefesh doesn't mean for God. Mesiras Nefesh means giving up yourself. Could you give yourself up for something?
No.
No? Soldiers give up their life for God, for their country. Why is that not called sacrifice, self-sacrifice? That's not called self-sacrifice?
You die for your children.
But some of them do. They all know that they could die.
A kamikaze.
Not kamikaze. No, that I'm not talking. But even a kamikaze or even regular soldiers.
Some people go to war if they don't want to die.
Then stay home. If they don't want to die, then stay.
Yeah,
I mean, no one wants to die. Of course, they don't want to die, but they're ready to die. And sometimes some of them do. Some of them actually die. Thousands and thousands. Why are we saying that that's not self-sacrifice? Let me ask you a different question. When a Muslim blows himself up and kills himself for his God, did he give himself up for his God?
Yeah.
You would think so, no? That's self-sacrifice. You sacrifice himself as God.
No, he does it because he thinks he's gonna have a better life.
Oh,
He does it for him.
he thinks he's going to have a better life.
So there's no
That's
sacrifice.
because
The word
that's-
sacrifice
So,
can't
so
be
if
involved.
you're going to have a better life,
It's because
if
that
you're,
life is-
what you're saying is true, so obviously not only is that not self-sacrifice, but you're actually giving up one part of yourself for a better self. That's not self-sacrifice, obviously.
That's a transaction.
Still,
That's
still,
a transaction.
Still for a God.
Not a bad transaction. I mean, that's pretty brave, but it's a transaction. I agree.
Yeah, but you
You
give
still
that
do it
But
for,
but it's not. No, it's not. You're doing it for God, but no, you're doing it for yourself because
it-
you want a better reward in heaven for yourself. That's not called self-sacrifice. You're looking for a better self, not a lesser self. You're looking for a greater self, not a lesser self. You're not giving up anything. You're giving up. Imagine I gave this to you and you gave me $1 million. I sacrificed something.
72 virgins.
Did I sacrifice my phone? Self-sacrifice. I gave up my phone.
but
That's a transaction. I got something even better for my phone. So if someone gives up his body so that his soul should have a tremendous reward in heaven, that's called self-sacrifice. That's hardly called self-sacrifice. He actually got a better self. He got a better self. What happens if it's type of self-sacrifice that is not, you're not getting reward?
selfless.
The soldier gets reward. The soldier that goes to his death is not getting rewarded. I don't know that he's getting rewarded.
What's the
So-
question, Rabbi?
So the question is that called self-sacrifice? She's not getting a better self.
Why would he do it if he's not getting a reward?
Soldiers get rewards. I don't know any soldiers that get reward for dying.
No.
They
Why
don't.
would he do it?
Their families taking
Why
care
is he
of.
doing it? So,
Why
it must,
is he gonna
so then it must
sacrifice
be
his life?
self-sacrifice, right?
No,
So-
For
it's
no
still a
reward?
transaction.
what?
For no reward?
What kind of reward? I don't know what
I
you
told
mean.
you, it's-
Which
it's
reward do you
recognition- it's
get?
recognition.
There has to be a
It's-
reward in order for
Your
someone to
family
give
is
up his
safe.
life.
I don't know. I mean, all these soldiers that gave up their life, did they get a reward?
They did it for their country.
Oh, so is there? So that's the
Now they're
reward.
patriots. They're heroes.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that although they're not getting a reward, a spiritual reward in heaven, but they're getting some kind of recognition here on earth,
Yeah.
in the history books.
Yeah.
That's noble. Don't get me right. Don't get me wrong. These are patriots. They're worth every bit of our respect, no question about it. God bless every last one of them. Their souls, bemis, goes without saying. But when we talk about, so if a person gives up his life for his ideal, the ideal could be your country. We believe in freedom. We believe in the Constitution. So I'm ready to give up my life for it. Is that a rational decision? It's a rational decision, sure it is. You want this country to be there. You believe in the ideals of this country, and I'm ready to give up my life for this ideal that I believe deeply in. So that it'll be there for my children, it'll be there for my patriot, for my fellow citizens. You believe in this very strongly, and you're ready to give up your life. Is that called self-sacrifice? You can argue that it's not either 100% self-sacrifice, maybe not even 90%.
Yes, it is.
It's not self-sacrifice, you're saying.
It is.
Oh, it is?
So,
Well, we were just trying
I
to.
would say it's not.
what about?
Well, you're
can
sacrificing
make-
your life to give other people liberty and security.
And that to
That's
you
true.
is a tremendous ideal. That to you is everything. In other words, let's take it this
So
way.
you're not getting.
Hold on,
anything
hold on.
yourself. You're not
I'll
getting
tell you.
somebody else's.
No,
You
you're
doesn't
getting.
have to
I'll
be
tell you
for
why
you.
you're getting. Let me
Doesn't have to
explain
be
to you.
for you.
Let me explain to you. It's important to speak this out because it's fundamental. I want you to understand what Jewish self-sacrifice is. It's a very unique thing. When someone says to you, you can no longer be free. You can no longer be free. We're taking away your freedom of speech. We're taking away your freedom to bear arms. We're taking away your right to vote. We're taking away all the freedoms that the Constitution affords you. We're overthrowing America and we're taking everyone subject. And millions of people rise up with their batons and they rise up with their ammunition. We're going to fight to the last drop of blood, right? We're not going to let America go down. Why not? Because you say to yourself, if I don't have my freedom and I don't have these, I'd rather not live. This is not life. I don't want to live in a country that tells me what to do. Is that self-sacrifice? Hardly. That's hardly self-sacrifice. You feel that you're living in a country subjugated to some dictator is not life. I don't want such a life. So I'd rather die than that. Is that called self-sacrifice?
No.
No, not at all.
I mean, commonly it would be called self-sacrifice.
But it's not
not.
real. It's not true. Ultimate, when you really get down to the meaning of self, that's not real self-sacrifice. Imagine someone's in a horrible conditions in a jail somewhere in a third world country, Nazi Germany. A Jew that went over to the gate and electrocuted himself because he couldn't take he couldn't take it anymore. He was sacrificing self, or he was ending the misery to self.
Yeah.
Oh, so the same thing over here. So that's an extreme case of physical misery. But imagine mental misery. I don't want to be subjugated to a dictator that tells me I can't do this and I can't do that. I can't think the way I want. I can't worship. I can't do anything. I'd rather die. That's not self-sacrifice. That's actually you're fighting to get to. In other words, when you die for that, you're saying, "Thank God I died for this. I don't want to be there." And we are hoping that I can thwart this effort to take over this country. It's not self-sacrifice. It's heroic. It's heroic. Don't get me wrong. It's very heroic. And they deserve all the, to be put up on the spot, all the honors, and we should support their children and their wives for eternity. It's not self-sacrifice. The real meaning of self-sacrifice. What's your question?
Yeah, when you're talking about, this kind of dictator, but what happened with the Hayadim in Israel? When you have to die for your country, but it's not only your country. It's part of your, Judaism is part of God because God says that He's ready for us.
So here's the answer. I'll answer your question. Let's move over to Jewish self-sacrifice. What happens when a Jew is confronted by a dictator and tells him you can no longer be Jewish? He says, I'm going to be Jewish. I'm keeping Shabbos, I'm keeping kosher. I am who I am. I don't care if you kill me. The guy goes and burns up a fire and says, you're going into the fire, I'm throwing you in. Just throw me in. Bow to the cross. If I don't, you get thrown into the fire, which is what happened to many of us. And he goes into the fire. So you can argue, if he's an idealistic Jew, and I said this already last time, if he's an idealistic Jew, you can make the argument that he's like the Christian that gives up his life. It's the same ideal. He's idealistic about something, he's idealistic about something. If you're passionate about living as a Jew, you're not going to let anyone tell you not to live it. I don't want to live it. In fact, you take away that life from me, then my ideal, I'd rather not live. That's not self-sacrifice necessarily. Where do you see a phenomenon that a person gives up his life without idealism?
With the robber.
In a secular Jew's readiness to give up his life.
What was his name?
Whatever. A secular Jew's readiness, I think his name was forget.
Yassel
The secular Jew who gives up his life. Let's analyze that. Imagine you see a Jew who's not passionate about Judaism. He cuts corners every which way. He's not honest. He's not this. He's not that. The whole thing is like, sometimes yes, sometimes not, But
He's not ideal.
suddenly it comes to, I'm going to kill you. He goes to his death. That needs to be analyzed. Where is that coming from? You know where that's coming from?
Mm-hmm.
That's coming, there's no calculation. He's not making calculations. I'll get rewarded. This is not what's in his mind. Reward. He could have got rewarded yesterday to keep kosher and he didn't. Much easier than giving up your life. And yet he didn't care about that. So today all of a sudden he cares about reward. So obviously that's not the thing that's taking him here. That's moving him. What's moving him? It can't be explained. It can't be explained. It's chokhmah of the nefesh. He simply cannot deny the one God. He can't do it. Why not? He's been doing it day in and day out for the last 50 years of his life.
He's a Jew.
So why didn't he keep kosher as a Jew?
Doesn't matter.
Why doesn't it matter?
Because he's got the spark inside. Being a Jew, at the time he needs to sacrifice, he'll do it. There's no reason for that.
In other words, you're saying you can still be a Jew and not keep kosher. Okay. But you can't be a Jew and deny God completely and convert, right? Yeah, it's the spirit of folly that tells us that. It's not a shkait. It's silly when we allow that rationale to crawl into our mind. Kosher is not that important, but not the cross, I'm ready to die.
Does that make you not a Jew? Not
No,
being
I didn't
kosher?
say that. Not at all. I didn't say that at all.
So what kind of a Jew is a Jew that's not kosher?
He's a Jew. He's obviously a Jew.
Not the same Jew as the one who's kosher. Is that the same?
I'm not. Let's not. That's maybe not the same. He is the same Jew, but he is disconnected from his source. When you do
the
sin,
Rebbe
every
say-
sin you do,
Wouldn't the Rebbe
You'd
say it's
connect.
the same Jew?
he is, but he's disconnected. When a Yid does a sin, it
Well, the
separates
example
him from
of
God.
a secular Jew. whatever.
So why are you allowing yourself to be separate from God by doing this sin, and you're not going to allow yourself to be separate from God when it comes to bowing to a cross? It's a very basic difference. The difference is that the Yetzer Hara tells us, makes us silly. It tells us a falsehood. That separating from God in this thing is not so terrible. Separating from God and ultimately with the cross, that not. But the truth is, separating from God in any sin is catastrophic for a Jew. It's just that your Yetzer Hara leads you to believe that a silliness that it's not so bad, when it really is terrible. Okay. But when it comes to the ultimate test of faith in God itself, over there, your brain can't rationalize with you that we are still connected to God when you start converting to other religions. Then you already know this is it, I can't do it. And your neshama won't let you do it. Your chachma of your nefesh won't let you do it. Now you'll ask me, but we know a lot of Jews that did. When they had that test, they gave up or they didn't give up their life. They chose to convert. There were such Jews. Quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
They didn't have a choice in Germany.
One second.
Only
It's
position.
different. That's
Inquisition,
just-
right?
It's different.
The answer is
Germans didn't say, "Hey, we'll let you."
they
live."
didn't give them a choice. But the answer to this is a very interesting answer. Let me give you the answer in the form of a metaphor. Is it natural for you to live, to want to live? Every human being wants to live. That's just been, it's ingrained in our psyche that we seek to live, to not only to live, but live good, to enhance our existence, to make our life better, and so on. How many people do you see that do everything to harm their existence? To harm their own
None.
existence? None? Are you kidding me?
How many people do I see that do everything to
Harm their existence. You know how many people are killing themselves?
Oh, how many people commit suicide?
Yeah,
Well, I
for
don't
example.
personally see them, thank God.
Okay, I'm just saying you know of them. That's what I mean. There's tons of people, thousands of people that commit suicide. They jump off a roof because they owe money. They took their life because the family life wasn't good for them. Whatever the reason is. Is that a rational thing to do? No. Is it a natural thing to do? No. It goes against their nature. You can do things that are against your nature. You have freedom to choose to go against your nature. God never takes away a Jew's freedom of choice. So you have the nature to live. You can choose to go against your nature and kill yourself.
Opposite is true too.
And same thing with Judaism. Then El Tareb is saying over here, the nature of a Yid is not to be able to separate from God. It's impossible for him to do it. And that's why we found in the history even secular Jews who gave up their life. You'll tell me you found people that didn't? I found people that committed suicide. The people have freedom of choice to go against their nature. When a Yid chooses to convert rather than give up his life, he's going against his nature. His nature is that this is not possible for him. This shouldn't be reasoned. This shouldn't be even introduced.
He should be killed.
He shall allow. You can't give up your. Imagine. I'll give you a better example. Imagine you see a father and a mother, and you're watching this scene. Okay, a guy comes over with a bullet, with a gun. There's a father, a mother, and 3 children. And the mother and the father are standing there, and the guy is coming and threatening the people. And the mother decides to save herself and let her kid be killed. What would you say if you heard about such a case?
It's against her nature.
It's against her nature. It's not normal. What kind of mother does that? Well, could a mother do that? Yeah. She can choose to go against her nature. A father do that? He can choose to go against his nature. It's the most crazy thing you'll ever see. But could it happen? A person has freedom of choice to do crazy things beyond his nature. A Jew has freedom of choice to go do crazy things against his nature, to convert rather, to convert to another religion, and just to save his life. It's against his nature. That's what Alter Rebbe is trying to tell you there. The nature of a Jew is he's incapable of doing such a thing, really. Could he choose to go against his nature? People do stupid things, yeah. People choose to do crazy things day in and day out. But it's crazy. It's not your nature. And that's why we found in the history of the people that people acted naturally. When they were told either you jump in the fire or you give up or you do what I tell you, they jumped in the fire. That was natural for a Jew. Even though he wasn't even so religious. Because he's incapable of doing it. Like a lousy mother. Let's take a lousy mother. When someone's threatening her child, she's going to jump up and do whatever she has to do to save her child. Are you a lousy before yesterday? Yesterday's yesterday. Now I can't do it. I can't let my kid go be threatened. But when you don't feed him breakfast, there's also threatened. Psychologically, in all many ways. If you're a lousy mother, that's also threatening to your child. She doesn't think so. She thinks this I can get away with. But when someone comes, a gun to the child's head, she's going to go right in front, take the bullet for him. You were so lousy yesterday. This I can't let happen. This I can't let happen. That's the story of the Jewish people. You'll say, but you were not so religious yesterday. You're right. Why weren't you religious yesterday? Because I thought I was still a little, it's okay. God will tell you. I'm still one with her. I'm still a Jew. But to go bow to an idol, under no circumstances. Some people did go to the idol to save their life. Some mothers do stupid things. Some mothers kill their kids. That has happened too, as you probably know. So it could happen, but it's not natural. It goes against the grain. That's what a Yid is. A Yid is a neshama. He's incapable. A Yid it has a neshama, and that the neshama is like a candle. He's incapable of separating from God, but more so, he seeks, his nature is to become one with Hashem. So what's the subject or the goal of this love? Total extinction. Are you allowed to extinguish yourself? You shouldn't. Our body is meant to keep us down here. We're supposed to live life down here and remain in existence as a separate entity and seek a unity with God, and as the neshama is a separate entity. But what does the neshama seek for real? It seeks total, to be united with its source. It doesn't want to be a separate entity. It doesn't want an entity. It doesn't want to be. It doesn't want to be.
So when the Rebbe talked about kids in the 60s that, joined the Hare Krishna.
They were candles.
Went
were
to
flickering
India.
fires. They were flickering candles. That was searching. No one knew. They didn't know where to look.
Right.
And the Rebbe said, just go show them where to look.
But when they made tshuva, when they returned,
Beautiful.
right? So all was forgiven.
Every time you do tshuva, all is forgiven.
All was forgiven.
But you have to be sincere about it.
You have to be sincere, otherwise it's not true. Next week, God willing, we will learn about the whole idea of what is holiness, which is going to relate to everything we just said. But we'll take a stop here. Hopefully next week we'll try to finish up chapter 19.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
See,
Now, the
It's more
question.
him, it's more him.
I actually have one left over.
No, you have two.
Any question you want to ask, you're
Yeah,
welcome to
accumulate.
ask.
You got a